Good morning. Good morning. And good morning. I'm looking a little oily this morning, but good morning. Okay, outside, right in front of me here, I'm looking out my window. It's a great day. But Helen doesn't look like she's coming here. So I'm kind of excited about that. I want to see Helen. I have a friend named Helen, and actually I call her Helene, but I don't want to see Helen today. So I'm hoping that who's ever in the path of Helen, that they will be fine, that they will make it through, and that there won't be that much damage, and they'll be on the other side of their peace. But so far, the area I live in Florida doesn't seem like we're up for grabs. So I'm happy for that. But good morning, good morning. I tell you, I hope you've had a nice couple of days since I was on last, and I got a few things done. There's more things to be done. There's always something to do, and I've been searching and finding new words to talk about and how they have some relatability to what we are doing now in our lives, in our current day lives. And I took on another thing for which I don't do often. I'm going to teach our Sunday school class on Sunday. So I've been going through, and it's all about looking at where we are in our lives, just maybe what generation we were born in, and what that signified for us. Were we born of the parents who were in the silent generation, or the most generation, the generation of the greatest generation, I think is what it was called. So anyway, I'm excited about that. So in between me doing the vlogging, I am also working on some of the other things that will bring me present and accounted for. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you? How are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well over there in your space. Hope you're living well. I know you get your exercise in, as does your daughter Lavender. So y'all just keep doing what you do. I'm gonna try to do the same thing. I swear I am. I'm gonna try to do the same thing. So anyway, today's word, I'm excited about it because it's different. And I asked the question, I think when I even set this up, have you ever met a person with this trait? And it's munificent, munificent. And munificent really comes from a Latin word, and it was called magnificus, magnificus. And that sounded like that was classically old and classically identifiable, that something was abundant in terms of what was available. So, but the word is so closely related to magnificent, and they said that this word came about at a time when it was, you're supposed to be flourishing with your words, and you paint the word as being so grandiose that everybody had to understand the word and the significance of it. But it's so closely related to magnificent that every time I kept putting it into the search engine, it would come up magnificent and not munificent. So that's why I wanted to go with the lesser known word, using munificent. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Joan. Good morning, Adelia. How are you ladies doing? Good morning, good morning. So I'm excited about this word, magnificent. That's the word, magnificent. So magnificent talks about being impressively beautiful or elaborate, extravagant or striking. And sometimes it's even giving beyond what is reasonable. And let's face it, we've seen that. We've seen where things are just so, huge in the amount of what was given or what was taken, that we're like taken aback by it. So anyway, the word magnificent, it says it comes from the Latin word magnificus, which means generous. Do you have a generous relative? I don't. I don't know if you do or if you ever did. Most people don't realize that they're probably worth more dead than alive. And to have somebody that has something and they can use it long before they move on to their next home in the sky, they end up thinking, well, I don't have no money. I don't know nothing about no money. I know nothing about all of this land and all of this money and all of this, this lavishness that certainly people with money can have. I love the people that live below their money and below their ability to boast, brag, and pretty much bully everyone into believing that they're rich. And some people are rich, don't get me wrong, they are rich. But to boast about it and to brag and to make it where, I am, um, I don't know. I'm not keen on that. For myself, you'd never hear it. In fact, I always tell the story about having met a man when I lived in New York, older man, much, much older. And he was an older Caucasian man. And if you looked at him, you thought he was poor. You thought he was poor. But in actuality, he was a millionaire. So sometimes you cannot go by what people look like or what frame of mind they may be speaking from, or even what they may be driving, because he drove an old car, very, very old. His house was dilapidated, and he really needed somebody to get in there and help him fix it up. But his thing, because he was born of that generation that says you don't spend everything you get and you act like you're poor. So you live below your means and not above your means. So, but he had a heart which was munificent, where he was able to give to others scholarships and all those kinds of things that, a lot of times you may look at somebody, don't judge them by how they look. Don't judge them, because they may be able to buy and sell anything that you have, and you'd be glad to get what they might even be throwing away. So it says munificent comes from the Latin word of munificus, which means generous or bountiful. It says munificus comes from the Latin word munus, which means a gift, a duty, and a service. And ironically enough, the class I'm going to teach to our Sunday school on Sunday deals with service. How well has in my instance, I'm going to tell you, I am a Christian, so has God taught me how to serve others? Basically that's what the lesson is about. Are you a server? Are you one who will serve others that have less than you? Okay, and or are in need? Can you do that? So it talks about, it says the Munificent was first recorded in English between 1565 and 1575. That's a long time ago. And it says English speakers may have been inspired to create the word by similar words such as magnificent and change the ending of magnificent to munificence. Munificence, CENCE is on the end. So munificent is used to describe someone who's extremely generous, especially when it comes to giving gifts. For example, you might describe someone as munificent if they give lots of expensive gifts on Valentine's Day. Well, I've never had anybody do that for me. How about y'all? I've never had anybody do that for me, but if they want to do it, they can. Valentine's Day is coming up in February. So munificent is one of those words, and it talks about it's just the fact that there's liberalness to it. There's liberalness to there's giving, and it's a bestowing that someone may do to someone else. I always said if I were ever a millionaire billionaire, I would be the one that would have so much fun and joy and peace if I were able to give to others less fortunate, just to give it away, and finding the cause and identifying the issues surrounding the cause. I would love it. How about you? Would you all like doing that if you were ever given that opportunity? I mean, you were paid well to do it because you had the money, but the job was that you had to give much of it away. I would have fun. I tell you, I'd find the folks. Long as I'm not being scammed. I'm an American. Anybody watch American Greed? I love American Greed. So now I found out that I can listen to it on as a podcast on my Sirius XM in the car. And I was listening about, it was a scam where these people said that they did all these things for cancer. And then to find out that they did nothing for cancer, that it was just written up with that word that pulls at our heartstrings. So the person that has this magnificent personality and gesturing of kindness would do this, that. They would give and give and give. And they had the number of millions and millions of dollars that had been swindled, but nothing had been given away. So sometimes we have to be careful. It says Munificent was formed back in the late 1500s, and it says because it is a gift of duty and service, it is something that some of us can relate to. I mean, I can relate because I give and I'm not concerned about what it is that I'm going to give to unless I feel that there's something wrong with it. But that's why I joined Rotary. I am a Rotarian. I love it because it's a service business. It is a service organization. So when we go to the word this morning of magnificent, it says it's very liberal in giving. It says it's of a gift or a sum of money, larger or more generous than is usual or necessary. And it says it is a magnificent gesture. It says it's going to be generous and bountiful, open-handed, magnanimous, philanthropic, princey. You know, I had to look up that word princey. I said, well, I think it means it's almost like it's royal. And sure enough, it's that royal idea of giving. Lavish could be a handsome sum that was given away. It says it's also obviously benevolent and it's sympathetic. How many of us have been played on, on our sympathy, or even our empathy, either way, it could check in there. And next thing you know, we've given away and given away. One of the things I remember when I lived in Italy was that they had in the piazzas, the squares and everything with, in the European countries, walking is a big deal. So everybody walks everywhere. So you might see and get something from others that, are either requesting things of you. And then they love the Americans because the Americans it was a good hit. And sometimes they would steal as they're talking to you. So they would have like what looked like a baby, but it was really like a grown person that was either a midget or it was a child that they had taught how to steal. And they would pickpocket you while they're saying aiuto mio and crying. And so you'd get caught in the drama of listening to them and trying to figure out what it is they want. And when it was all said and done, they had stolen something. Yes, ma'am, Miss Rosie. Miss Rosie said, I love to give. Me too. If I had more, I'd give more. But, one of these days. So when we move down into the word of magnificent, we talk about the M. And I use the same word that they use, magnanimous. Magnanimous talks about it being extremely generous for giving. Okay, it says especially toward a rival or less powerful person. So therefore, even if the person they need money, you're probably going to give to them. I'm going to tell you something. The other day, there's a man on the corner not far from my house. I always turn out when I'm going downtown, and I saw them on Friday. Must have been Friday morning. Yeah, I saw him Friday morning. And on the way to going to a veteran stand down, which is where you help veterans get some supplies. They might be homeless or they might be near homelessness. But anyway, I went and I volunteered with that. Well, while I was volunteering, they had so much stuff. They said, Dr. Winborn, you can take some of this with you. So I took some and I bagged it up for this same gentleman. And I gave him money, as I said, on Friday on the way down to the Veterans Affair thing. Coming back, I didn't see him. So then Sunday morning, I didn't see him Saturday. So Sunday morning, I was turning the corner and I made a special trip to see, am I going to see him today? Okay, Lord, let him be there. So I had this bag and it had everything in it from little, Vienna sausages and, I think there were nuts and all kinds of stuff like that. Quick snack. So I put it in the front seat so I would remember to look for him. Well, I did see him and he had his dog with him and he says, hey, I remember you. And I said, I remember you. So I ended up giving him this bag and he said, well, thanks, but don't you have any money? I need to get something to eat. I said, there's some foods in the bag. I said, it may not be what you have. I said, but I gave you money yesterday. And he said, well, God bless you. That's how we ended it. So sometimes your gift still may not be enough for what people are looking for, but you still have to say, bless him in anyway, bless him anyhow. And that's what I was doing. I was saying, well, this stuff, it's coming through me. I didn't buy it, but I gave him money yesterday. So maybe. So sometimes you have to understand that your giving may not be received the way you would like it to be received. But sometimes that's just the level of where they're at. They're just feeling that their need is greater than what you could give. So there it is. So when we move on to the word of magnanimous, that means that they're generous, there's benevolence, there's big-heartedness, there's liberalness, meaning you're liberal with giving it away, and it's not tying you down. There's no restraint. It's not, you can give as much as you want. Every once in a while I've given people stuff and they've cried because they said, you didn't have to do this. And I said, I know, but I wanted to. I said, to help somebody, to me, is of great importance. When we move on in our word of magnificent, I have, my U is unselfish. How many of us are unselfish? Do you have any use for what you put down? Unselfish means willing to put the needs of and wishes of others before one's own self. That's what unselfishness is. It says they're altruistic, self-forgetting, generous, philanthropic, public spirited, meaning they're not going to worry about it privately. They're going to deal with it publicly, just giving it away, not worrying about, I always tell people, don't worry about what somebody's going to do with what you give them. If you've given it away, you've given it away, because I know that even when you give some people money, if their reasoning and their purpose is to buy, alcohol, then they're going to buy alcohol, and every once in a while I would just say, well, I'll go over here and I'll pay for a meal. And all you have to do is pick it up. And I've done that as well. But to be a person that's really looking at being, this magnificent kind of personality, that means you're not even worried about what they do with it. You want them to have it. My U, as I said, is for unselfish. And that means it's all of those things. It also says it's humane. You're looking at the humane. And it says that you're also looking at the kindness and the consideration of others, the kindness towards others and the consideration of others. I always look at other people, and as I'm thinking and sometimes even praying, I said, Lord, that could have been me. Could have been me. But it wasn't me. It wasn't me. My N is for nature. I believe that a person that has this magnificent personality has a nature of kindness. They have a goodness about them, a willingness to do that. And you have undaunted. Oh, I love that. Undaunted is good. Meaning, you don't have to worry. I'm not wavering on this. This is it. This is what I want to do. Thank you, Joan. My nature says it's basic or inherent features of something. Like I can tell you that my mother taught us to give, period. We had to give. We had to do something. You will always have if you always give. Absolutely. I believe that it is reciprocal. What you give will come back to you. Maybe not from that person, but it will be somebody else. Thank you, Ardelia. I believe the same thing. And notable, yes. Notable is good. When we look at the whole thing of nature, when I was telling you that my parents taught us that all of us were taught to, and there's 10 of us, all of us were taught to give, and I have a brother. Well, I had a brother. He's going now on to glory, as my mother has too. But he and my mother had this dance that they did every Friday because he worked really hard as a construction worker in the hot sun, and he'd make money. And on Friday, he loved to let loose. And his thing was he loved to drink. So he would get drunk and he'd come by the house to see our mother. And he would always say, what you doing, Lily? And Lily said, I'm broke. You need to put some money in this hand. And she'd do like this. He'd give her money, but he'd give her enough money that on Monday she give it back to him. Isn't that cute? She would give it back to him, same money. But she knew the nature of my brother. My mother knew the nature of his mother, our mother. He knew that she wasn't going to keep it. She was going to give it back. She's going to give it back. So the nature of who we are is an essence that we've gotten from our parents. Maybe it's been showcased in other ways to you, maybe through your church, maybe through the organizations you belong to, but it's a given. And it's the essence of who we are. It's the character that we hold. It's the identity that we can share in. It's the kindness that we give. And it's the type of personality that we are. That's how nature is. Nature is just nature. And it belongs to us. It's personal. It's personal. When we move on in the word munificent, my I of munificent is for independent. I don't need anybody to tell me that I can or cannot give something to somebody that I think deserves something, needs something, wants something. That's a personal choice. And it's independent of my thoughts from someone else's. I don't ask someone else, do I want to do it? I just do it. So independence says that you're able to take care of your own self while looking out for other selves out there, other people, offering outside help to someone else that may need it. And it says it's autonomous, meaning it wasn't made as a decision among other folks. Illustrate. Oh, that's good. Illustrate is good because that means it's been shown to you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So self-sufficient, self-reliant, self-sustaining, powerful. I like that word right there. To me, independence is powerful. Just like we see people and we want to help them, it's powerful that if it stays on us and it's powerful enough, we're going to do it. We're not going to worry about what anybody says. It just becomes something that we do, and we do it seamlessly because it doesn't always have to require discussion. It doesn't have to be discussed. It doesn't have to be showcased or, on the 5 o'clock news. It was just something that was done. And independence talks about it being a free thought, meaning you thought enough to do it and you did it. I forgot that I never print on the back of my pages, and today I did. When I move on in my word of munificent, my F is for free-hearted. Free-hearted, meaning that you don't feel bad about giving something away. Giving and sharing in abundance and without hesitation, meaning you're free-hearted. And it is an adjective, generous in providing aid to others, or liberal in your giving, open-handedly generous, a benefactor, meaning you can do it and you want to, fulfilling. Oh, that's a great word, because sometimes to me, when I give something away, I feel better than I had felt before I gave it away. I was excited about the give, but then I was real appreciative of how it made me feel to give it away. That makes it exciting. Friendly. Well, that's good too. Because to me, you have to be if you want to see somebody do better, then there has to be friendliness in your heart and care and love and kindness, all those things to give something away and not be concerned about it. It was just something to do. So when we give something away in the free-hearted spirit, we're really talking about it being charitable. There may be some, abundancy to it. It's liberal in our thinking and in our way of presenting it. It's open, it's unselfish, it's kind, it's generous, it's open-handed as well as open-hearted. Open-handed means, that the hand was open to give it out. I always remember a story that somebody told me about, and I think it was used in a sermon of some sort, but it was talking about if your hand is always like this, holding on to what you got, and you never open it up to give it away, then nothing else can come in. I like that. It just kind of served the purpose for right now moment. But anyway, when we have this thing where we're open-handed, there's a philanthropic, appearance and feeling to what it is that we do for others. We just do it. We do it. Cheryl, did I see you in there? You and Carney. I thought I saw your name. I can't remember because the screen is moved. But anyway, we move on in our word. My second I in munificent is intentional. I believe that in order for you to give anything away, you have to intend to do it. Sometimes if we've been, bamboozled, hoodwinked, scandaled, all those kinds of things, then it was intentional on their part to take what we had. It wasn't in our intention to give it away or have it stolen. So intentional, done on the purpose, deliberate, calculated, meaning you thought it out before you decided to go someplace. You thought it out. Involvement, that's a great word. Oh yeah, there you go, Cheryl. Thanks. It says also it's calculative, cautious, but yet and still planned. Meaning I cautiously thought about it, but I'm still gonna ride by there and see if I can find that guy on the corner. And I know that they say sometimes don't feed them. Now I do have had a few crazy experiences. I remember one I had gone out to lunch and I decided I was gonna have in whatever I got and I was gonna have it boxed up immediately. So I never touched it. And I remember I was on the corner coming off of Brent Lane, coming off of the interstate, Interstate 110, I-10. 110. And I remember getting off and oh my goodness, I was just so excited because I saw a man there and I said, oh man, I said, I'm so happy to see you today. I brought you something to eat. He looked at me and he took the bag. He said, any money in here? And I said, no, sir, I don't have any money. I said, but I didn't touch it. I had them bag it up so you would have a meal. He threw the meal at my car. Okay. So sometimes you have to understand your goodness. Impulsive. There you go, Cheryl. Ignite. That's right. I ignited him and it was impulsive that he did it. Okay. Interaction. All of that. Involvement, interaction, ignite. I ignited his reason to say, I don't want this. I want money. And basically, as I said, he threw it at the car. And I felt bad for a second. And I said, okay. That's all I had to give. I am a person that doesn't carry around money, I'm gonna use my debit card and lately I'll try Cash App, and Zelle if it'll work. But those are the three I'm gonna use. After that, I'm done. I don't carry the cash, But I love that. All those words are good. Ignite, impulsive. I ignited him. He was impulsive about his action, and my interaction with him set off the involvement that came after that. But anyway, we move on in our word of munificent. We talk about my C is compassionate. I believe you must have compassion if you're going to give anything away. You can't give it away and then talk about it that you gave it away. You just gave it away. Okay, and you're okay with it. I have a couple of friends that are givers. They love giving, and they realize, like myself, you can't take it with you. You can't. I don't care everything you have around you that you may love. The house you live in, the car you driving, the trees that give you the beautiful scenery, all those kind of things, the clothes you wear, the jewelry you purchased or were given. When it's time to go, all that stuff remains here, but you just gone. In fact, somebody asked me the other day, do you think they're going to, put, because I think they were asking somebody put, some expensive jewelry in the casket or something when somebody had passed on. And I said, it may look like it's going down, but I believe that somebody going to open that casket up and that won't be gone. I mean, it won't be resting along with the body is what I told them. Carney and I wish I would have ate it. I know that's right. It was good food too. I can't remember where I got it from, but it was good. Cautious. You do have to be cautious. So my compassion says, as in benevolent, having it or marked by sympathy or consideration for others, meaning it just comes with it. You want to do it. You see the need to do it, the desire to do it, the willingness to do it, and you do. Some people won't step out like that, where other people, they will. And some people, I had a lady tell me one time, well, why do that? That just keeps them in their situation of being, needy and homeless. And I said, well, I just think of it had been me, and the system, for whatever the reason, has failed me, or I failed to work within the system. That doesn't say that I still don't need help, you know. And a meal may hold them on till they get help. It may not be is all they need, but it's all I can help them with at that time. When we move on with my word of compassion, it says, it talks about it being kind, sympathetic, thoughtful, gracious, welcoming, sincere, generous, merciful. I love that word for it, merciful. And then humanitarian, that you are a humanitarian. You're thinking along the lines of human kindness, not necessarily judging, just saying, it is what it is. You recognize that. Moving on in our word of munificent, my second E in munificent is extravagant. Extravagant, meaning that the person that is the giver, the benefactor, they're not worried about the money that's being spent. It is what it is. It was needed. It was, had a place to go. It may not have been the best place, but they didn't feel bad about having given this individual or the family or whatever it was. It may even be an agency, something. Everyone has an untold story. You better believe it. Say that again, Miss Jones. Say it again. So when something is extravagant, it says sometimes it could be considered wasteful. Those are those sayers. Sometimes they're naysayers, but those are those sayers who want to ridicule, but ask them, have they given anything to anybody? And sometimes the answer is no. No. So the extravagant thought says that somebody is generous. It says they may be lavish, prodigal. It says also philanthropic, a high roller, okay, and liberal, meaning they're not worried about this money. It is what it is. They're not worried about giving somebody something. We move on in our word of munificent. We talk about it being noble. I had to look that word up because at first, I was thinking kings and queens and stuff. And it says having or showing fine personal qualities or high moral principles and ideas. Oh, yeah, they had the royalty stuff there, but I had to move on to the second explanation, which talked about it being high moral principles. Meaning if you see somebody that is living on a much lower scale, you're giving them something may assist. And it may be a temporary band-aid. We realize that. But at least for the moment, or however long that exists, till they finish a meal, or even if it is to get a drink, that's it. That's all you have to share in. And it says that noble also talks about being honorable and upright and of good people, worthy, meaning that, you're worthy for having done it, decent, unselfish. And it says ethical and generous. So, a lot of these words are so interchangeable. And that's what I love about what I'm doing with the Are You Stuck? Meaning that we don't have to be stuck on, 50 words. We can have a plethora of words and understand that our conversations can be with anyone. So that's why I'm always trying to promote the concept of understanding words. Maybe you don't have to get down into the origin and all of that, but a lot of times words are so related that the conversation doesn't be that you keep using the same word for every sentence that's related to the same idea. You can add more words to it and make it more, I would say, more texturized, more conversational, that leans to a higher conversation, so that you're not just staying on, an I, but it's like, well, looking at the generalness of what I can give us if we learn more words. My T, which is my last letter, my T, talks about being thoughtful. I believe most of us who've lived life long enough, we've had thoughts about how we can help others. We've had thoughts that if we had money, what would we do with it? Would it be all about ourselves, or would we share it? Would we know how to share it? Would we take a class? I'd probably take a class on what makes a good, you know, area to invest in, or good, or what makes it where I can help a family go from, being homeless to owning their own home. How can that be effectuated? I would look at that. So thoughtfulness just talks about showing consideration and for the needs and the care of others. That's what it is. Other people, looking at them, where you're looking at how can I be considerate of others and caring and forming an understanding of where they're at, even though I'm not there. Coming up with the fact that we can have sympathy and empathy, but we must look at it in such a way where we're also, maybe philanthropic if we could be, generous if we could be, giving if we could be, helpful, friendly, obligating, tender. How many of us are tender when we see people on the street? How many of us? Benevolent, charitable, and the last word is generous. How many of us can do that? I'd probably be dangerous with money. I would literally make it my platform of where I'm able to give people something that they're missing. But of course, I would have a team of people working with me that they would run it down. What are all the particulars about this family? What's their background? What has gone on? How long have they been in a situation of need? Because sometimes people get used to depending on what their needs are and therefore can't do anything else to form new needs because their condition rised. So rise in either a good way or a bad way. But if you help people learn how to move above where they currently are, that makes it worthwhile. That makes it where they can feel good about themselves and use that success as a means to say, I'm doing better. I am doing better. Well, listen, that's our word for today, munificent. Look it up. See if you have a munificent bone in your body and willingness to help others. Okay. Thank you for another new and useful word that will increase my knowledge and vocabulary. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ardelia Jones, Cheryl, Miss Rosie, Carney, all the people that are coming on. I love it. And I see a lot of people look after, because I know I'm on at 9:00 during the day. And most people, they probably are looking at work. I have a few that look at work and they write after, well, this was a good word, or this was, they write me. And so I appreciate the fact that you do this. But even if you do this, do one more thing for me. Hit that share button and let it be shared. You can share it with or without a comment. That's fine with me. But there's no money being required. If somebody wants to send me something, I'm going to turn it back around and use it for the platform. I really will. Incidentally, I am a Rotarian, and one of the things we have on sale, and these are delicious. I mean, it's the Rotary. We're having Subwest Rotary. Sorry for the glare, but it's October 24th, right around holiday, the end of October, and it's one smoked pork butt. They are delicious. Now, listen, I was buying them and giving them away until I tasted it last year. Stop giving it away. Absolutely delicious, and enough that you can eat some now, freeze it, and then pull it out for the holidays. That's what I did last year. But anyway, I have these. They're $45, and I would love to sell you one, two. I have a couple of people that buy two. But when I tell you it's delicious, it is delicious. But anyway, I love you guys. Hope to see you on Friday. Another day that will end this week. Okay? Be safe. Think about your munificent capabilities and do something nice for somebody today. Or maybe tomorrow. I'll see you on Friday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Love you.